Come on in, everyone. Come on in for another car talk video without the car. Another car talk without the car, y'all. You know, whenever I want to do a long video, I really just can't do it in my car. I really like the idea of talking to you guys while I'm driving in my car. But sometimes if I have a conversation or a topic just a little bit too juicy for me, I can't do it when I'm in the car because, you know, I can't look at the camera. I can't concentrate. I got to look at the road. So if I'm coming to you with little short stuff, I'm going to still do the car talk videos. But if it's going to be a long video, like I suspect this one's going to be, I'm going to have to do the car talk without a car so I can really get into it, y'all. And this week, I had a lot to talk to you about because we also had some very good comments coming from the cast based on my last video. I ruffled a few feathers and folks needed to come in the chat and clear it up. They had to get Auntie straight, or as Dominique calls me, Grandma. They had to get me straight and clear up some things. So I definitely want to give their response as much camera time and video time as my video did. So that way, if I said anything wrong or incorrect, based on my opinion, you know, this whole video was my opinion. I know everybody said, oh, I better start putting allegedly in the comments. The whole video is allegedly. The whole video is my opinion. The whole video is just what I think. And I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm right. But really, my whole YouTube channel, y'all, is about my opinion. And it doesn't mean my opinion is gold. It doesn't mean my opinion is truth. It doesn't mean that I get everything right all the time. And so I'm always willing to give a cast member or anyone else equal amount of time to tell me where I'm wrong. But this week, y'all, we really are talking about a couple of my favorite subjects, and that is dating and also science. Y'all know I'm an engineer, so I'm gonna love me some numbers. I'm gonna love me some science. And then, as you know, my channel is actually built on dating. It's built on, you know, maybe paying it forward, giving women a few tips in their younger years of dating or their older years of dating, whichever one you want to call it, that kind of help them get what they want out here in life. Like I said, it's just my opinion. I'm just one person out here in the world. And so this week we've combined, y'all, two of my favorite subjects. We've combined dating, which I'm going to speak about because Maya was one of the ones that dropped down the comments, and she left some really good comments she wanted to clear up. So we're going to go over her comments. And then Chaz, our data scientist, our resident data scientist, dropped down in the chat. And Chaz is saying something very important, and I want to combine the two. If y'all are wondering right now and saying, I don't really understand, Auntie Deborah, what data scientist Chaz has to do with dating, and I'm going to tell y'all it has a lot to do with it. Because if any of you are on dating apps, those dating apps are using data science. So I know people are familiar with the word perception is reality. And a lot of people disagree with it. A lot of people say, well, perception isn't reality. No, a lot of times it is, because it may not be what you feel is your reality, which is what Maya is going to actually take issue with me about in the in her comment to me, and for everyone to clear up. What she's going to tell us is that what I said isn't her reality. It's not the truth. I'm wrong. Got it. But what I'm going to start talking about is perception, and that how, even though it may not be reality in Maya's world, perception can be reality. And it won't just be my perception. Okay. Because if you're on any dating app, I'm going to tell you right now, they're using data analytics. They're using data science in sending you matches on your dating app. You think they're sending you matches based on what you say, your reality? Do we all really believe that? Do we really believe that when people are matching with you on Hinge or any of these dating apps, you think it's all based on what you said? You think it's all based on your reality? Do you ever wonder why you only get matched with certain men? Why aren't I seeing the men I really like instead of seeing these men, right? Because you know what they're looking at? They're looking at all your other data. They're looking at your Instagram. They're looking at your Facebook. They're looking at whatever else you got there in social media. And let's say your Instagram is full of booty shots. Booty shots. Every picture on your Instagram are booty shots. Guess who they might match you with? They might match you with a man who, when they look at his data, he likes to look at women's booties, booty shots. Boom, you're a match. You see, now is that the man you wanted to attract? No, it may not be the man that you wanted to attract, but your data is the footprint you put out there. Your data is what you do. Your data is not what you say all the time. Your data is also what you do. So if you are out there with booty shots all over your Instagram, when you're on Hinge or anywhere else and you're trying to get paired up with a man, more than likely they're taking a look at your photos. And although you may not say you're that girl, your photos say differently. The data says differently. And so then that data, they use it to match you up with men. Maybe those men like to look at booty shots, so they're going to match you. Maybe those men typically like a picture of a woman with a big booty. Then guess what they're going to do? They're going to match you with the man that like the woman with the big booty. It may not be the man you want. You see, y'all can learn. We've been on Chaz a lot this season. Me in particular, I done called him a cat daddy because he's got too much data and the data's got him clogged up. It's got him stuck. We're going to talk about what he says, but Chaz uses data, and so do a lot of men use data. A lot of men use data, and women better stop thinking that men's calculators for choosing a woman is as simple as the way you look. You see, I got into this with Love is Blind. I'm going to actually probably go back and do a Love is Blind video, y'all. I hope you will watch it because I want to come back and talk about the Clay and AD situation. I don't know if y'all seen the new news about is AD a sugar baby or not. I'm going to talk about it because I was one of the ones out here telling you that I do not believe that the reason why Clay rejected AD was because he didn't think that she was attractive. I'm the one who said it. I said, I do not believe that. I do not believe that Clay faked the funk for an entire year. We've all seen the pictures of AD with his family at Thanksgiving. We've seen Clay say a lot of nice things about AD, that he thinks she's beautiful. He has spent a lot of time with her even after he said no. But everybody wants to keep talking about, no, the only reason he rejected AD was because he didn't want no dark-skinned woman and AD got a bad weave and she's not good looking enough for Clay. And I kept saying, no, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I kept saying it. Everybody kept saying, you wrong, Auntie Deborah. You just have a good heart, or you're naive. But guess what? You know what data I believe now? The new data that came out. I sure do. I sure do. I believe that when Clay mentioned that thing at the end about, I don't know what AD's finances are, I think that was a bigger role. I think that part is the real data he went off of. That's the real data, because one thing I knew about Clay was Clay's entrepreneurial and he watches his money. And let me tell you, the red flag that would have caught him more than AD's looks, it would have been the money thing. That's what stopped him dead in his tracks. So everybody thinks if a man likes you or don't like you, it's all because of your body and the way you look. No. Men, let me tell you, successful men out here in the world, men who really are making money, men who are really about their money, watching their money, they are way beyond looks. Do they want an attractive woman? Yes. But that's not all the data they collecting. That's not all the data they collecting. Look at last year on Make a Move with, what was old girl's name? Oh gosh, come on. You know Cameron and Zadia. Cameron and Zadia. Azadia was thinking that just because she was good looking and had a nice body, she was going to lure Cameron away from his money, that he was going to make a decision based on his little d and not up here. And she was wrong. She bet wrong. She bet wrong. Okay. And a lot of people bet wrong on Clay. They thought Clay was all about the looks. And so therefore, if he didn't choose AD, it all had to do everything with looks. Y'all bet wrong. You bet wrong. I'm telling you right now, this money thing, this sugar baby thing, which I'm going to do a video on it, this whole soft life, what women are out here looking for, and what kind of men are really going for that. And I'm explaining to you that's, y'all ain't getting the real data. You're not getting the real data, but I'm going to say that. But I want to go back to what this video was really about. And this video was about Maya and Chaz when it comes to data analytics and dating. So let me go ahead first to kick it off and get it started. Let me actually pull up the response from Maya. Now, I'm not going to go back and play any of my video. Okay. Hopefully all of y'all watched my video. If you didn't watch my video of what I did about last week, please go back and watch it. The segment on Maya is the first part of the video. I actually go into everyone in the entire video, except I don't go into Vanessa, and I ain't going into Vanessa no more. No more Vanessa. Truce. I'm done. Vanessa won't be getting covered. Okay. So I'm sure she'll be happy about that. I'm sure happy about it. I'm done with it. But if you go in and you watch the segment on Maya, which is in the beginning, is on Maya and Lyron, this is kind of what Maya is actually responding to when it comes to what I said in the video. So let's go over what Maya said, because Maya says she needs to speak her truth. She wants to put it out there. And I want to highlight what she said because I want her voice to be as loud as my voice. And all I can do to make it as loud is put it on my channel. So here I am. Here I am putting on there. And then what we're going to do is then we're going to also look at the response that Chaz sent me in response to what I said about him, because his segment is actually, I believe Chaz's segment is actually at the end. I think Chaz's segment is the last part of the video. So Maya's part is the beginning. Chaz is actually one of the last cast members that I covered. And just so everybody knows, I cover all the cast members. I don't pick out one cast member to cover. I cover them all. So unless you only watch a part of the video, you might not know I cover everyone. But I cover everyone in the actual video. So anyway, Maya writes that I actually did not see him, which is Lyron. I talked about in the video of that. I thought Maya should have known the characteristics of Lyron because we saw it on camera and we saw him on several occasions go off on people emotionally, rage, rants, out of control emotions. We saw it, and I was wondering why. I don't understand why Maya didn't see it. Maya had to have seen it. She was around. So anyway, so Maya is correcting me, and what she's saying is I actually did not see him snap on Koshia, okay, until the show was aired. Okay. So here's the scenario. There's a room. They're all in the room. I don't know how big the room is. I'm not there. I don't know if it's multiple rooms. I don't know. From the video, it seemed like it was one big room. And remember, what we remember is that Lyron was talking to Koshia at the table, and they were sitting opposite the table, and then sitting next to Koshia was Chaz. This is all from my memory, y'all. So everybody can correct me if I'm wrong. And that is when the explosiveness, the conversation happens between Lyron and Koshia. And Lyron's words are harsh. They're mean. He calls her a few names. He says some very mean things to her. And she starts to cry and tear up somewhat. And then Chaz checks Lyron and says, hey, man, basically telling him to back off, that he's wrong. This is what we see. We later see Lyron go off to the side and Chaz have a conversation with him. We see all those good things. But during that time when they're at the table, there is the scene where Maya walks over to the table, sits further down the table at the head of the table, and then makes a comment to Lyron. I forget what it was, sort of breaks up what was going on before. And then that's when Lyron goes over and tries to hush Maya and hug her and do all these kind of things. And actually what it did was it further inflamed Koshia. If y'all remember, when Lyron went over and hugged Maya, Koshia, who was already upset, then became further upset that Lyron went over and physically touched Maya and hugged and kissed on her, or not kissed her, but hugged on her and showed her some attention, whatever he was doing. I think he was trying to hush her. So Maya says, I actually did not see him snap on Koshia until the show aired. So what Maya is saying is, yeah, I was at that event. Yeah, I was in the room. Okay. But I did not see nor hear. That's what she's got to be saying. She's got to be saying that I did not see nor hear. So we know a lot about Maya. She often is looking around, not paying attention. So, hey, maybe Maya was in the room not paying attention. Okay. So at the very least, what I could say is Maya was in the room and she's unaware. Okay, got it. I got it, Maya. I'm with you. So Maya says, I actually did not see him snap on Koshia. I had no idea, none, how intense that situation was. Okay, so what she's saying is, in that moment, I didn't see the event, Auntie Deborah. I didn't hear the event, Auntie Deborah. Nor did I hear any information about it after the event. So when she was there, she didn't hear it. When she was there, she didn't see it. She never had, no other ladies brought it up when she was in the room to tell her how intense it was. So she didn't even hear it secondhand, not in the lounge, not in any conversation with any other women. Nowhere. She didn't see it when it happened. She didn't hear it when she was happening. She didn't hear about it secondhand from any of the ladies. She didn't hear it in the lounge when no woman might have been talking about what happened between Koshia. Koshia must have never mentioned it to her. Nothing. Maya is saying I had zero information. This is going back to what I'm talking about. Perception versus reality. Maya is telling me that her reality is I didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't see it. I didn't hear it firsthand. I didn't see it firsthand. I didn't hear it secondhand. I didn't hear nobody talking about it in the lounge. I never heard Koshia mention it. Maya says that I was told to walk over and insert myself in the conversation. That's all production. So what Maya is saying was that while this was going on, while LaRon was going off and he was screaming and yelling and calling Koshia bad names and calling her out her name, that Maya said, I didn't see it, I didn't hear it, but production told me to go on over there. Go on over there to that mess over there, and I want you to insert yourself into the conversation. And what Maya did was she followed directions. She followed the direction of the production. She walked over there. She's also must be telling me that she didn't see Koshia upset. She didn't see Koshia crying. And if she did see Koshia upset or crying, she didn't inquire. She didn't inquire. Maya's telling me that she had zero data. Like I said, I'm going to get into this data scientist. What Maya is telling me right here is I was wrong, because in my video, what I was saying was that Maya should have had a lot of data. That's what I was saying. I was saying Maya should have had a lot of data in order to make a different decision when it came to entertaining LaRon. And Maya is correcting me, and she said, nope, you're wrong. I didn't have any data. I didn't have any firsthand data. I didn't have any secondhand data. And then when production told me to go over there and insert myself in a conversation that had already gone left, I didn't even gather any more data over there, not with my mouth, with my eyes, or nothing. I just did what production told me. I didn't look at Koshia. I didn't see Koshia was upset. I didn't look at that Koshia was crying. I didn't look at that, what LaRon was doing when he even came over to her. Nothing, no data gathering. Okay, now this is why I keep talking about data science. You may not be gathering data, ladies. That's fine. If you want to be out here in the world and you're not gathering any data, that's fine. But I'm going to let you know, other people in the world, the Chazes of the world, the me's of the world, other people in the world, the Love is Blind, what's his name? Clay is gathering data. Cameron is gathering data. Men are gathering data. Now, ladies, you may want to walk around and you may not want to gather any data on the men, but the men are gathering data. So what would happen is, if you don't think men are gathering data, you could come to what's called a false positive. Okay? False positive, false negatives. We're going to get into it. We're going to get into the data science, because when we bring in the data scientist, Chaz, I'm going to let Chaz school some women on what data science is. And even though, ladies, you aren't out here being a data scientist and you not gathering no data, men are gathering data on you. It's the reason why I told you don't go to a club with a man, because you may not look at it as a big deal because you're not gathering no data, but they're gathering data on you. They're gathering data on you. And what I keep pointing out to women is y'all want to get on me because I'm gathering data, and then you want to tell me that I'm wrong. And that's fine, because you know what? You're not dating me. I'm inconsequential to your dating life. But what I'm trying to explain to you ladies is that just as I've gathered some data and I may have come to some wrong conclusions, men are gathering data on you too. Them data apps is gathering data on you. So if you want to believe that your reality is the only thing that's working out here in the dating world, you're wrong. You're wrong. I may be wrong in the way I interpreted the data. I may be wrong in the information or the conclusions I come to with the data. But if you believe no one else out here is gathering data on you based on what they see, then you're wrong. You're calculating wrong. And this, I'm telling you, is making you make mistakes in the dating world because you are underestimating the data world. It's what I said about Vanessa before. You're underestimating a world in which you're in. You're completely immersed in the dating world, which is full of data science, algorithms, dating apps. And what a lot of women want to do is none of that makes any difference. It does make a difference. It makes a difference who these dating apps even put in front of you, or who they put you in front of. Think about all this typecasting. Every time someone comes on this show, they tell us what production wanted to do. Production is typecasting me. How do you think production is typecasting you? They're typecasting you based on the data they see in your social media. They're data gathering. They're using science, data science, different methods to typecast you. Even Will talked about it. He said, he says after he looked at everything, he realized what production was trying to do to him. Production was trying to make him the thug type of guy. And he says, I'm not really that guy. Yeah, I'm from Pompano Beach. Whoop, you whoop, whoop, whoop. And what Will was trying to say was, even though I talk like I'm from the hood and I'm from the hood, I'm not that guy anymore. I'm out here doing community service. I'm building homes in communities that need new homes. I've owned multi-million-dollar houses. I do this. So what Will is saying is, my reality is this. This is really me. I'm into the church. I'm into the word. I'm into God. But then people pull in data based on the way I'm talking. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. I'm from Pompano Beach, and you're not going to do this to me. And they're like, okay, I got two sets of data. I got the data of the man doing well in the world, building houses, having a nice construction company. But I got this other data over here of the man whoop-de-whoop, people, the slang and all this. And now what people want is they want you only to look at the data that affirms how you see yourself, and they want people to disregard all the other data. No, it ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. People are looking at all your data. So that's why I keep saying you better be careful of what type of data you put out there, because you can't put data out in the streets. You can't do it and then tell people disregard the data, only listen to what I say. I warn women, don't do that with men. Why would I let women get away with it? I tell women all the time, do not just listen to what a man says, also watch what he does. But then I always get women who say, don't look at what I do, only go off of what I say. No, I'm going to go off both. I'm going to look at what you do. I'm going to look at what you say, and I'm going to marry the two up. I'm absolutely going to marry the two up. So let's go on more with what Maya has to say. I never pursued him. Okay, so I think she's saying she never pursued LaRon, which I don't think Maya ever pursued LaRon. I also don't think Maya's ever pursued William. So he says, I never pursued him. William was very standoffish after the meeting at the getaway. So let me stop there. William was very standoffish after the meeting at the getaway. I believe it. The data showed it. The data showed that after LaRon called out William went to a sunken place. He did. He went to a sunken place, and he was very standoffish. And that's when he went outside and he was sulking. And that's when Patrice went out and consoled him. Once again, look at my video too about Patrice, Captain Save a Hoe. Everybody says Patrice is just competitive. I'm not going to say she's not that, right? Things are more than just one thing. Data brings in lots of data. Data science brings in a lot. But if you notice, Patrice is always the one running to the wounded person. Always. So Maya's correct in terms of, and why I can say she's correct, but I believe her. I agree with her that William was very standoffish after the meeting, after the getaway, because his plate was handed to him by Lyron, and he went to a sunken place, and he didn't have no comeback. He didn't know how to defend himself. And so he sulked and he went outside and he sat on that chair. And then Captain Save-A-Hole Patrice went out to save him and comfort him, the empath, as y'all were calling her. So what Maya said is, so I entertained LaRon due to him heavily pursuing me. Okay, Maya. So what Maya is saying that after William became standoffish and he was sulking and he was outside, what Maya was saying is, now that William is standoffish in this moment, now remember, William has been pursuing Maya now for at least 9-10 episodes. I don't know what episode we're on at this point, 8 or 9 episodes. And what she's saying is, in this one moment, William became standoffish. And she's saying that in that moment, let's forget about all the other 8 weeks where William was heavily pursuing Maya. She wasn't pursuing him. He was pursuing her. So what Maya was saying is that in that moment, I'm going to disregard all the other weeks in which William was heavily pursuing me, because now in this moment, he's not doing it. So as a result, let's forget about what I said about FMLA. What she's saying is that is what made me pivot from William. So what you're telling me then, Maya, is that the man that has been pursuing you heavily the whole season, who's shown you nothing but care, concern, and attention, the minute he is in a sunken place, right, or in a bad place, you're not the one that goes outside and comforts him and talks to him like Patrice did. In fact, what you're saying is, I entertained LaRon because now LaRon is heavily pursuing you. This is new data. This is data. So what she's saying is, I called her a gold digger, which I kept saying on my last video. I'm willing to come up with a new name, y'all. I'm willing to come up with a new name. I'm here to compromise. I really am. I'm willing to come up off my name of gold digger, but y'all gonna have to give me a name in its place to describe what I'm talking about. I tried to put it in words in my last video. I tried to say, okay, if we don't want to call Maya a gold digger, I need to know what I can use as a word, or maybe I can't use a word when I say Maya prioritizes money over a lot of other things. I said it in my last video that the prioritization of attributes from a man, I feel, my opinion, all this is that this right here becomes paramount in Maya's decision making. And I said that's a problem, because then what happens is she disregards a lot of other stuff. She already told us up in the first sentence that she just did what production says, and she doesn't gather data. She doesn't gather any data. I don't know. I'm just here looking around. I don't gather data. Now what she's telling me is that in this moment when William is suffering and he's hurt and he's sad, but this is the man that has pursued her the whole time, what she's decided to do was, I'm not going to go outside and comfort him or look after him, because now he's standoffish. And so now what I'm going to do is I will entertain LaRon. So she has decided to entertain LaRon due to him heavily pursuing her. She didn't say I'm entertaining LaRon because production told me to. She's saying I'm entertaining LaRon due to him pursuing me. And so she says, I did not vote for William to go home. I never said that. I don't think that she did vote for him to go on, but she didn't fight for him. You see, she didn't fight for him. I can agree that I didn't see any type of information that says she voted for William to go home. But what I didn't see was, I didn't see her fighting for William. I did not see her go out there and comfort William. And in fact, she actually affirms what I thought happened, which was after William went to the sunken place, Maya was done with William. She was done with William, and she decided to let LaRon entertain her. She decided to entertain LaRon because now he was heavily pursuing her. So she didn't put nothing two and two together. She didn't collect no data on LaRon. She just went with it. Like she went with the producers, and now she going with this. Okay. Like I said, you know what? People can be out here in the world and not gather no data. That's fine. But I'm going to tell you, that's very dangerous. It's very dangerous to be out in the dating world and you're not gathering data. It's very, very, very dangerous. I warn women against it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't disregard data on men, and don't believe men are disregarding data on you. It's just not true, ladies. I don't care what your reality is. It may be your reality that no one out here is gathering data, but they are. Everyone's gathering data on you. Everyone, at all times. Instagram, they're gathering data on you. They're looking at where you go, what you do, what you like. And then when they're pairing you up with people, they're pairing you up based on that data. Why do you think that production has even framed Maya? You think I'm the only one that has framed Maya as around this money issue? Like I said, I'm not going to call it gold digging. You think I'm the only one? You don't think that production also had a hand in crafting this narrative about Maya? And if they did, where did they get their data from? Where did they get their data from? I know a lot of you want me to keep going out and gathering more and more data. A lot of you are way better than me in gathering data. You guys go out and you gather a lot of data, and you come back to me and you tell me what you gather, and then you say, my opinion is wrong. And I have to tell you that a lot of times I can agree with you because I haven't gathered all the data that you have. You've gone out and gathered even more data, right? And so as you gather more data, your mind, your opinion can change. I get that. I get that. So she says, Maya says, if I was a gold digger, I wouldn't have just worked 30 12-hour shifts straight. Well, as a data gatherer, Maya, I would have to say I don't agree with that, because I never said that gold diggers were lazy. I never said that. A lot of gold diggers work really, really hard. I brought up the thing of Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Kim Kardashian was a very hard worker. Very, very hard worker. She worked a lot of hours. She wasn't lazy. A lot of people are not gold diggers. They're not lazy. I don't know where someone has made those two words synonymous, but I would say in that respect, that wouldn't necessarily mean someone's not a gold digger because they worked 12-hour shifts, 30 days straight. So I understand what Maya's saying, but I wouldn't put that two and two together. She's saying I would be married in a mansion, not working full time. No, that's if you're a successful gold digger. Successful gold diggers would be married in a mansion, not working full time. But there are a lot of unsuccessful gold diggers. There's a lot of them. That's why they're still digging. That's why they're still digging, because they haven't struck gold yet. It doesn't mean they're not digging for it. A lot of people are still digging for gold, but they're unsuccessful. So that part I would probably say no, Maya. But it's okay. Like I said, this is Maya's truth. I would have pursued Chaz with the most money. It does not make sense. Okay, I'm going to have to. First of all, I'm going to tell you right now, data gathering, data scientist Chaz will never fall for a gold digger. Never. There's not going to be a gold digger that's going to get by Chaz. Chaz collects so much data. So much data. He doesn't even want to pick a woman for a 2-day date in which Ready Love is paying for. You think a gold digger is going to get past Chaz? So actually, Maya, what Maya is saying is, if I were a gold digger, I would have pursued Chaz. An unsuccessful gold digger would pursue Chaz. That would be a gold digger who doesn't really know her craft, because a successful gold digger would be able to look at Chaz and say, Chaz is not going to be a man that's going to spend money frivolously on a woman. Okay, you guys got to understand that for men who have money and who have wealth, one of their worst investments that they look at is spending money on women. This is why Lyron doesn't own a house. Did you listen to Lyron? He says he makes over $120,000 a year, almost 150. And LaRon says he doesn't own a house, but one day he wants to own one. That's why he looked up to Koshia. So you make over $120,000 house and you live in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and you haven't bought a home. You know why? Because he's spending all his money in the bar, in the lounge, buying drinks, getting puffy, eating catfish and crawfish, and spending his money on women at the bar and buying them drinks. You see, people like Chaz, people like Clay, people like Cameron, okay, men like this who are really trying to make money, build wealth, build businesses, they are not falling for the gold diggers. They watch their money tightly. They don't spend their money frivolously. So when Maya says to me, if I were a gold digger, I would pursue Chaz. Okay, let me give a little hint to gold diggers. If you are a gold digger, not Maya, because we know she's not one, don't pursue the Chazes of the world, because you're going to be an unsuccessful gold digger. You need to pursue the Lyrons of the world. You need to pursue the men who spend money frivolously. That's who you need to pursue. That's why they go to ball players who got so much money, they throw money away. Gold diggers need to go pursue men who throw money away, because those men aren't counting their money and they don't mind throwing it away on some happenstance woman. That's where gold diggers need to go. The problem where gold diggers go wrong, gold digging gone wrong, is when gold diggers go for men who watch their money. And anybody would know that Chaz watches his money. Okay, Clay watches his money. Cameron from Make a Move watches his money. So this ain't a tip for Maya, because Maya has told us she's not a gold digger. See, gold diggers got to go after the street men, the men who make that fast money in the street, right? Men who don't watch their money. That's where gold diggers need to go, because a successful gold digger, I would tell you right now, if I was helping a gold digger out here, because y'all know I give dating advice. If a woman comes to me, I want to let you know, Auntie Deborah, I want to be a professional gold digger. I'm going to say, well, you need to go look for men that spend money frivolously, because that's the kind of men that are going to go for you. Men who really, really watch their money, they don't go for gold diggers. No, they do not. Absolutely not. So Maya, no, if you were a gold digger, you would pursue Chaz. No, that wouldn't have been a good idea. It would have gone nowhere. She says, I don't want a broke man. Well, who does? Girl, don't nobody want no broke man. He says, she has talked to the brokest and will never do it again. Amen. Hallelujah. I agree with you. I never brought up money to anybody. Okay. It was my ex asked about finances and so much more, yet that's all they showed. So what she's saying is that when money was brought up to Justin at that date, it was all brought up by the ex. But obviously Maya didn't say anything different because we know how the date turned out. Justin got the message. So Maya, I understand that you're saying you didn't bring up money, that your spokesperson, who is your ex, who has experience with you, he spoke on your behalf, because that's what he was there for. And what you didn't do was you didn't refute anything that he said. You sat there in silence, like you've said before, that the producers tell you what to do. Everybody just tells you what to do. You were silent. You didn't speak. And so what happened was that ex, his voice became the loudest in the room. The editors, the producers then edited it. But Justin heard enough from the ex, and in that moment in which he was there, to know that you weren't necessarily interested in a man that made less than $100,000, because Justin asked the question, and then Justin realized Maya don't want a man making less than $100,000. So I don't really know what to say, Maya, when you say I didn't bring up anyone's money. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's what you don't say. Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you move. Sometimes it's not what you say, is what I see you going towards. So I keep telling Maya that don't just look at me, because I'm not the only one pulling data in here. And if you might want to know why you're being perceived differently, don't cast me aside, Maya, because I'm not alone out here. And there are a lot of men who could come to some of the conclusions I came to, even if my conclusions are wrong. I could be wrong. But a lot of people, men who then will be attracted to you, will not be the Chazes of the world, will not be the Camerons, will not be the Clays. because what they will believe about you sometimes would be that you are very, I don't know, no one's giving me the word yet, so I'm not going to call it gold digging, but they won't pursue you. They won't. And what you're telling me is that it's actually the man you want. You want a man that's financially responsible. You want this type of man, but in a lot of ways, the signals you send will not be the signals that a money conscious, financially prudent man will pick up on, because the data he's getting, it doesn't point to who you saying you are. I'm just saying, I don't know. We can't keep ignoring data. She goes and says, LaRon and I were not on a date. Okay, because I did talk about that. And she says, no, it wasn't a date. It wasn't a date. Half of the cast met up at a club randomly last minute. So there you go, people. Everybody was wondering. I wasn't wondering. They were wondering why Maya didn't tell Tommy what happened, what LaRon did. And everybody thought Maya was protecting LaRon. She wasn't protecting LaRon. She was protecting herself when everybody was there, because we know what the rules were. I went over this on the Vanessa interview. Everyone is outside of the protection wall. They're not supposed to be dating. They're not supposed to be hanging out. Everyone knew they were breaking the rules. And so half the cast met up at a club and randomly last minute. So she couldn't really tell Tommy, because in telling Tommy what happened, she had to tell Tommy why she was even there. How did this happen? Because you're not supposed to be meeting up. You're not supposed to be dating or even hooking up off camera, right? Everybody thinks this is because production wants all of this on camera, but it's also because they're looking out for the safety of people. We've seen this before in past seasons where the cast hung out, went to bars. And I know every year the cast does it, but that's why. You know what? I don't know how much of the rules you're breaking. So once again, all I can go off is what I see. I'm glad she corrected and said it was not a one-on-one date. Half the cast was there. So I was wrong about it being a date. But then again, I don't know. You sure LaRon didn't think it was a date? Just because you're there with a lot of other people doesn't mean that it's not a date. I don't know. That's the reality of Maya, but is that the reality of LaRon? How did LaRon think it? What did LaRon think it was? Was he treating it like a date? Did he pick her up? Did he take her? Did he pay for her? Because what makes a date? Just because you're with other people? Nope. There's group dates. Right? What makes a date? If I pick you up, if I take you, or if I meet you there, if I pay for you, you don't know. You never met this person too much, so you don't even know what they call a date. Now she says, a guy I know approached me and spoke right in front of LaRon. Okay. So remember the scenario I said I think happened. I imagine that LaRon and Maya were together and a man approached Maya and the conversation lingered. So she says, a guy I know approached me and spoke right in front of LaRon. That part I figured happened. So the guy came up to Maya, spoke to Maya. Okay, she didn't mention that she hugged him or anything. It was LaRon who threw in that they were all hugged up. He mentioned the word hugged. I don't know. She doesn't mention whether she hugged him or not. So there we go. No one disrespected LaRon. I believe that. I don't believe LaRon in my world of what disrespect looks like. But once again, I'm not the only data. LaRon felt disrespected. Why did he feel disrespected? I don't know. I'm not going to even say it's anything that Maya did. Because like I know, LaRon's a liar and LaRon's a hothead and LaRon got emotional issues. So I was and am a single woman. Absolutely. You can do whatever you want to do. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I would never introduce him to anybody. So what she's saying is, in my video, I mentioned part of the thing that I thought, because at this time, like I said, I thought it was just them at the club. I said that a guy probably came up to Maya, hugged her. They talked because they knew each other. And then Maya never introduced that guy to LaRon. So Maya is saying, I'm a single woman. Okay, I'm not with anyone. And if a guy comes up and talks to me, I would never introduce him to anybody. Okay, so I'm going to just say this is actually just conversation etiquette 101. If I'm in a conversation with you and we're talking and someone comes into the conversation and inserts themselves, I'm going to tell you this about me. I don't even care if it's a woman or whatever. My first thing is to introduce the people. That's just me. That's just me. If I'm having a conversation with you and a whole nother person comes in to basically take my attention away from you, one of my first things would be, hey, how are you? And then if they're going to come into this conversation, I need to introduce the two of you, who, no matter who you are. Oh, this is my girlfriend, Felicia. Okay. Oh, this is LaRon. I don't have to call LaRon my boyfriend. I don't have to say that I'm on a date with LaRon. But if I'm in a conversation with LaRon and another guy comes in and steals my attention away, that's just me. I'm going to say, oh, hey, Jason, this is LaRon. We all here together partying. I don't have to say this is LaRon, my boyfriend. Oh, these are all my friends. We here partying tonight. Good to see you. Anyway, it has nothing to do with me being single or somebody's my man. I would never introduce him to anybody. He's not my man. His actions were unwarranted and had nothing to do with me. His actions were unwarranted. His actions were horrible. I agree 100%. But I don't know. You need to start looking at the data, Maya. She's not looking at no data. Ugh. Not my problem. Well, it is your problem because you got cussed out in the club. It is your problem. You got cussed out and called a B in the club. LaRon's problem, he is the one with the problem, but he has just made his problem your problem. I didn't say you were the cause of him being the problem, but his problem has now become your problem because, as you say up in paragraph 2, you were willing to entertain LaRon because he was pursuing you heavily. You knew he was pursuing you heavily, but all this data don't mean nothing. This data means nothing. No data gathering, no data calculations. All this is just out of the blue. Okay. I simply gave him a chance because he heavily pursued me. So now we say you gave him a chance because he heavily, all capitals, pursued him. And then if this man is heavily pursuing you and then the other man comes into the conversation, I'm not saying what LaRon did was warranted. Everybody should know I don't like LaRon. I ain't like LaRon since episode 2. He's a liar. I get it. But I'm also not with no data gathering. I'm not with it. I'm not with a person who's out here in the world gathering no data, looking around like this and not paying attention to what's in front of them. Looking around at everything else, but not looking at what's in front of them and then saying, I ain't got nothing to do with this. No, you got something to do with it. I tried to be open to the process. I also showed up to that last date planning to eliminate myself and leave the process. I do believe that, and I thought that was a smart move. I thought that afterwards she should leave. And she said, and also I believe, like I said in the video, that she called off her mama coming after that happened, said, Mama, you don't need to come, or fake the funk, whatever. Smart move by her on her that part. I agree. I was begged by production to not leave and break up with him on the next episode. Break up? I thought y'all wasn't together. Why you gotta break up? I was begged by production to not leave and break up with him on the next episode. I do believe that production begged her to stay because, of course, production would want it because it's good TV. So I believe that wholeheartedly. There's no grand prize at the end. I believe that. That's why everybody kept saying she's on here to make it to the end. I don't believe that completely. That's everybody else saying that. I don't believe it either, Maya. There is no grand prize at the end. I believe you. What did he buy me? Drinks? Yeah. Drinks are important to LaRon. Drinks mean a lot to LaRon. Did you see? Drinks and food mean a lot to LaRon. Now, I know Maya may not mean a lot to you, but it means a lot to LaRon. Catfish, crawfish, and drinks are his favorite things. So for you, it may not be a big deal, drinks, but it is to him. And like I said, if you gather data, you would know it meant a lot to him. So what you would think is a small gesture or not a big deal would be perceived as a big deal to him. It doesn't mean you have to share the same values, but you need to gather the data so that you know what's important to someone else, because then you either know how badly you might be triggering them or not. Okay. Maybe he spent $100. So now we go. So he did spend some money. Is that a date? I don't know. Maybe LaRon thinks it is. Was he spending $100 on all the other people there? So if LaRon is only buying you drinks and he spent $100 on you on this date, $100, like I said, she ain't drinking $15 drinks or $20 drinks. That would mean 5 drinks. Maya didn't have 5 drinks. Maya was drinking top shelf. $100, she was drinking top shelf shots. She wasn't taking 5 shots. No, she'd be on the floor. She had 5 shots. Maya says $100, that's what I spend on my daily dinners. To you, I don't know. What does it mean to a person like LaRon or some other person? That's your reality. I get it. What's $100? It don't mean nothing. But to some men, it means a lot. It means I'm on a date with you. Should they think that way? No, they shouldn't think that way. Not necessarily. To some women would feel like, oh yeah, we're on a date. You buying me $100 worth of alcohol today? We're on a date. We may be with other people. I don't know. But the idea that the data I'm gathering means nothing, and that the only thing that makes any sense or has any validity is Maya's world, it's not true. Because everybody out here is gathering data. LaRon is gathering data, and he might have interpreted the data wrong. Absolutely, he might have. He might have interpreted the data wrong, but he gathered some data. He might have come to some false conclusions. He might have. This is all TV, and your analysis of me is very, very wrong. So she says I'm wrong. My data is wrong. I'm coming to the wrong conclusions on my data. Got it. I don't even club like that. Okay. I didn't make this up. When she says I don't club like that, I don't know what that means. All I know is I've heard several things come out of Maya's mouth. Oh, this is my favorite spot. This is where I like to come. When I get married, I want to make sure we still going out. LaRon said we're going to be going out once a week. Maya says, oh yeah, I like that. Once a week? That's more clubbing than most married people do. I'm just saying, Maya, I get what you're saying when you tell me that I've come to the wrong conclusions of my data. I get it. But I also want you to hear what I'm saying is that if I'm wrong, let's go with that. I'm completely wrong. There are a lot of other people coming to conclusions that are also coming to the wrong conclusions. And you really just don't want to say, well, I don't care about them people. They don't matter. They kind of do, because some of those people you may want to be with. Some of those men who come to conclusions that I'm coming to, you may actually like them, but they're actually getting the wrong perception of you. You need to care about the data, Amaya. Don't brush it away. Don't brush it. She says, but I respect it. Just wanted to give my 2 cents. I loved your 2 cents, Maya. In fact, it was worth more than 2 cents. It was worth a whole lot of cents. I'm glad she wrote down. I'm glad she kept the conversation classy. I'm glad she came here to explain herself, because I don't think Maya is alone. I got a lot of flack. I got a lot of pushback from people on the things that I said in regards to that whole situation around Maya and LaRon. And I think what Maya has written here, really, a lot of women are going to relate to it. A lot of women or people are going to say, yeah, I get what Maya's saying. I agree with Maya's saying. And what I'm also bringing is not only what Maya is saying and what everyone else is saying, I'm also trying to give you guys a different perspective of what other people could be thinking. It doesn't mean that the other people are right. It does not mean that. But you need to be aware, ladies, of the data that men are gathering on you. You can't stop ignoring the data that men are gathering, because a lot of men could be coming to, like you say, I'm coming to the wrong conclusions. They could be coming to the wrong conclusions. And when you start talking about wrong conclusions, I want to read to you all what Chaz wrote to me. Okay, so now I want to go over the response that Chaz had. Remember, I did a whole segment on Chaz too towards the end. And the part about Chaz, I kind of talked about how he gets wrapped up in the data, because remember, Chaz is a data scientist, a data analytics engineer. Anyway, hey Auntie, I gotta hand it to you. You're spot on. I stumbled upon the channel a bit late, but your insights and critiques are on point, and I can give credit where it's due. Honestly, I wrestle with analysis paralysis, especially when it's about someone taken aback. So it's about someone taken aback with that he's taken aback with or have concerns. I mentioned this in the men's lounge, but it didn't make the cut. Since you're savvy with data sciences, which I really appreciate because not many folks are, including the ladies on the show, apart from one, of course. I think there was was it Laylan? Someone was in the STEM industry. I think it's Laylan. I think Laylan. I don't think she was maybe she's with AI or something like that. I remember, but she definitely was there. It would have been nice to see those two together. I get tangled up in false positives and negatives. True positives kind of get drowned out. And then there's the whole deal with recall and precision needing another round of scrutiny. It's a work in progress, you know. He goes on to talk about, next week, now about my brothers. We're not exactly tight knit, but we're not at odds either. We scattered across the country in our late teens, forging our own paths. We catch up in person maybe once a year, unlike some of my closest friends who practically see each other every other week. I've got 3 brothers, and I chat with one more frequently than the others. We're more text buddies than phone pals, but when push comes to shove, we've got each other's backs. Mess with one of us, and you'll have all of us charging in. Oh, don't be coming for me. Don't think brothers be coming for me, but we'll probably talk about that next week when we get to meet his brother. But right now, I want to focus on paragraph number 1, and I really want to focus on the part where he says, I get tangled up in false positives and negatives. And then what he says is the positives kind of get drowned out. And then there's the whole deal with recall and precision needing another round of scrutiny. It's a work in progress, you know. And if you read this sentence, it's a lot of what you guys accuse me of in my reviews. You guys often tell me that the positives get drowned out. And then there's a whole deal with recall and precision needing another round of scrutiny. So one of the things that I can relate with Chaz on some things, and even you guys probably can see some of this in me, how us data people, we bring in both negative and positive data. And to some people can make it feel as if we're leaning too far to the negative or too far to the positive. It can swing both ways. I mean, when I was, talking about AD and what's his name? Clay, and I was rooting for AD, people felt that I was being too positive. I was looking at too many positive attributes. I wasn't looking enough at the negatives. And what I was trying to say in that moment is, no, I see the negatives, but in this moment, the negatives are not outweighing some of the positives for me. So it's interesting how people take a position with me. Sometimes they feel I'm too hard on the ladies. And then other times when I'm giving ladies more leeway or lean towards the positive, sometimes I get called out on that too. But hey, this is YouTube world. This is what it's for. It's for all of us to have different opinions, different critiques, different points of views. And I love it. I love the conversation, because what conversation does for me is, if you are a person leaning too far to one way or the other, the negatives or the positive, talking to more people helps highlight those things. So when Chaz says that the positives get drowned out, one of the things to help with that would be to bring in another person to help highlight the positives more, and don't stay in your own bubble of your own conversation. Because if you do stay in your own conversation, you don't get enough of that other data coming in. And in a lot of ways, one of the reasons why I like talking to everyone down in the comments is, even if you guys think I'm leaning too heavy to the negatives, then what happens is when you guys come in and you add your viewpoints, then what you're able to do is you're able to help equal out the conversation. So when Chaz says the positives get drowned out, with my audience and you viewers, you guys often come in and add that perspective when you say, hey, Auntie Deborah, you've drowned this element out. And sometimes you come in and you sway my opinion. Sometimes you come in and you sway my tone or my conversation. And other times you don't. Because even sometimes if you bring in other data, other positives, I will still say, hey, I hear what you're saying. I see it too, but it's not outweighing all this other data I have. It doesn't mean I haven't included it. It doesn't mean that I haven't seen it. It just means for me in that moment, it hasn't outweighed it. And I think that's kind of where I think where I landed with Maya is that y'all remember Maya was my favorite in the very, very beginning. I actually went in with completely positive vibes about Maya, completely positive. I really didn't even have any negatives about Maya, not at all. It's just over a course of time, I started to get in more data and that data started to sway me. So, hey, maybe some people feel I've been swayed too much. That's fine. But even with what she's added in her context, I still have a bit of a problem that I believe Maya needs to take in more data. And I think that she prioritizes money as her primary data label that I want her to bring in other data. I stand on it, I just stand on it. But I don't know Maya completely. So if I knew her and got to know her, then there would be a time when more data could come in and I could change my mind on that as well. But this is just a show. And like I said, what I say ain't gospel, what I say ain't true, what I say ain't everything. But what I want to do is I want to highlight what the data scientist is talking about, because although people may put Chaz over here in this corner or put me in this corner, you got to understand, ladies, when you're dating, is that there are a lot of Chazes out there in the world and they're taking data. So you can't disregard it. You can't blow it off. You can't shoo it away. You can't say it's irrelevant, because it's very, very relevant. It's very relevant if you're intending on making it in the dating world. Okay, as what I talked about with Vanessa, that Vanessa was dating a bubble. She wasn't collecting enough data. Okay, because she was in a bubble. She was in a box. She needed to be out in the world collecting more data to be able to come to better decisions, better conclusions. You got to take in more data to understand, to get the bigger picture. We can't just stay in our own little world, in our own little mind, and say, well, this is the way I interpret it, so this is the way I think everybody should interpret me. No, people experience you differently. It may not be your truth, but you do need to be aware of how people experience you. You know, I've been talking a lot about, Chaz mentioned it, false positives, false negatives. So I want people to know what that means in the data science world. A false positive is when a scientist determines something is true when actually it's false, also called a type 1 error. So what it's saying is the scientist believes it's true, but it's not true. That's what Maya is talking about. Maya is saying is you believe something is true, but it's not true. So she's here to speak the truth. She's here to set the record straight. So a data scientist could have moved forward on his actual false positive, but he's already acted on it. He's already not interested in you. He's moved on. It could be false, but the data he's gathered based on what he's seen, where he watches you, he's assumed it about you. It could be a false positive, but he's acted off of it. So you actually cannot ignore when you are also sending false positive data. It's just not on the scientist who interpreted it wrong. He's also looking at data. There's something there, and women have to be cognizant of the false positives they're sending out in the world. Your Instagram feeds. What are all your pictures about? Are all your pictures booty shots, but you're really not that girl? Well, that's you sending false positives in the world, but yet you're saying you're not that girl. Like Maya said, I'm really not a club girl like that. False positives sent out into the world, but then you want people to not go off the false positives. You want them to go off the truth. A false positive is a false alarm. A false negative is saying something is false when it is actually true. It's also called a type 2 area. Let me tell you right here, a false negative is saying something is false when it's actually true. This is also what people are afraid of. It's what Clay's afraid of on Love is Blind. It was what Cameron was afraid of with Zadia. It's what Chaz is afraid of. What he's also afraid of is that he will disregard something and say it's false, but it really is true. That a Maya, let's say a person like Maya will say, well, I'm really not that person. I'm not a gold digger and I'm not a club goer. Someone accepts the information from Maya, but then it turns out to be true. Women get into this all the time. Hey, I'm not a player. I'm not a cheater. But in the end, he is a player and he is a cheater. And men who have money men who watch their money, they're very afraid of the false negatives. They're actually more afraid of the false negatives than they are about the false positives. Because the false negative is where they really get burned. That's where they really get burned. Because a false negative is saying something is false. A false negative is a woman saying, hey, I'm not a gold digger. I'm not a club person. Now, the man with money, he says, okay, I'm going to believe her. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to entertain her. I'm going to, court her. I'm going to do all these things. And then they come to find out that it was true. That's where they get taken for their money. It's the false negatives. It's not looking. The false negative is saying the red flags ain't really red flags. The red flags are yellow flags. This is where men are really afraid, the false negatives. The false positive, something is true when it's actually false. That's a less of a concern for most men with money. Most men with money, what they're really concerned about are the false negatives, saying something is false when it is actually true. A woman saying, I'm not a gold digger, I'm not a club person, I'm not this. And the reality is, yeah, she really is only with you for your money and she's about to take you. That's the one they're concerned about. So I get back to saying it all the time. Women, you got to know about the data. You can't ignore it. You got to look at what type of data you're sitting out in the world. And then you got to understand that people are pulling that data. Not only are men pulling that data, but all these data apps, they're pulling data on you. They're pulling data on you. And the men that they are sending your profile to, the men that come up in your algorithm are men that are matching with you because of the data you send out in the world. When you are typecast on these reality TV shows, they're typecasting you based on the data you send out in the world. I tell you, stop ignoring the data. Stop ignoring it. Doesn't mean that you can't scrutinize the data. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't question the data. Absolutely. But you can't just keep ignoring it. You can't ignore it. Not in this world. We are completely data driven. This world now is completely data driven. So if you're a person out here ignoring data, then let me tell you something. People out here calling me grandmas. Y'all is grandmas, because if you think we're living in a world where data doesn't matter, you are stuck in the 60s, because data matters everywhere. Everywhere. Anyway, that's it, y'all. Talk to you later. Bye.